So as demonstrated in the two videos previously submitted, um, and as per the guidelines for this presentation, the Fred Bear, the quote-unquote fictional character who's clearly a military veteran with a raging alcohol problem, and who's sort of fighting back and forth between his abilities to manage and cope with things that he's experienced while in the military. He was directed to be in the contemplation stage, and so approaching the Healthy Lifestyles coach, who's then offering suggestions on how to tackle the issues that he's wanting to, as per the text, when people move from pre-contemplation to contemplation, it means that they recognize there is a problem and they are starting to think about changing. So Fred Bear recognizes that he has started smoking again, and that's a problem for him. And he also recognizes that the majority of people are not consuming 6 beers or drinks per day. So that's recognizing the problem, and he's clearly thought about changing it in this contemplative stage by coming to see someone who's willing to coach him in helping him change those behaviors. And I think that that's really important to consider, being that they're two pretty destructive behaviors. So the second construct of the TTM is self-efficiency, and self-efficiency, according to the text, plays a major role in how successful people are in changing their behaviors and maintaining the change. And so some of the suggestions that were given by the coach is substituting the unhealthy behavior for maybe not the most healthy behavior, but something significantly healthier than the negative behavior that they were raising. And so by raising the consciousness in the process whereby people obtain information about themselves and the problem behavior, it's in this, according to the text, in the process of becoming aware of the problem and causes and consequences of continuing a particular behavior. So continuing to smoke, obviously he's probably going to pick up and get a deeper craving, and so more the progression of addiction tends to move to the greater as opposed to the lesser. And so he's going to increase the amount of cigarettes that he's smoking in a given day over a longer period of time. He doesn't change the behavior, and so being conscious of that is going to help him switch back to the vapor pen. And same with the drinking, being conscious of like this is not a normal amount of alcohol to consume. It's certainly significantly above moderation, and therefore needs to be addressed, and he's conscious and aware that that is a negative behavior, and again is seeking some help in changing that. And so the last construct that I think really is useful in turning these through is self-reevaluation. And according to the text, self-reevaluation is a process in which people look at themselves with and without the problem behavior and assess the differences in their self-esteem. And so what I interpret that to mean is, when I initially evaluate Fred Bear from the coaching standpoint, he's dealing with some issues. So when you look at the Fred Bear himself doing a self-evaluation, at first he's recognizing that these are problem behavior as he's contemplating it, and he's conscious of it, and he's decided to move more toward an action phase by seeking help. But he's still really in a contemplation stage, because just because you seek help doesn't really mean that you've made any steps to change the behavior. It means that you've asked for third-party input to see whether or not you're getting a sort of a peer feedback as to whether this really is a negative behavior that needs to be changed, or whether it's potentially just more of a personal fear. So the self-reevaluation comes in after meeting with that coaching session. And so not only have you been sort of validated in determining that, yes, this is probably not a good choice that I'm making, or choices that I'm making, and so you kind of are able to maybe put that plan of action into place, and then at some point you're going to reevaluate how you're doing with those changes, and are you really making those strides after removing the negative behaviors, and how are you feeling after removing those negative behaviors. And so other than that, the coaching session with Fred Bear, I think, was effective, and hopefully Fred gets his life together and lives a long, happy, and prosperous one. Thank you.